Good morning. My name is Ade Kunle-Okusage, and today I will be your speaker. The speech I will be giving you today will inform you in the fact that the United States government has always and still sees pro-Black/African American movements as a national security threat and uses organizations like the FBI to target and villainize those movements. Did you know, since the days of Reconstruction after the Civil War, the United States government has classified pro-Black African American movements as a national security threat? The threat apparently is on the same level as communism during the Civil War, extreme terrorists during the War on Terror in Afghanistan and Iraq, and intellectual property theft made by China. I would like to start this off by hitting 3 points. First, the FBI targeting of Marcus Garvey and his Pan-African movement. Second, the domestic spying and killing of Fred Hampton. And third, the FBI's 2020 domestic terrorism reference of pro-Black groups. First, we're going to talk about, again, Marcus Garvey and his Pan-African movement. J. Edgar Hoover, the first director of the FBI, ordered Marcus Garvey, or as Hoover referred to him, Black Moses, to be investigated. Mr. Garvey led the first Black national movement where he taught Black Americans to be proud of their identity while encompassing economic success for community. This was called the Pan-African movement. The FBI, however, classified Garvey as a radical that agitated Negroes. Even though Harvey later admitted that Mr. Garvey violated no laws, he was still prosecuted and jailed on dubious mail fraud charges in 1923. During the same period, white supremacists, police, and even soldiers targeted and attacked Black communities in incidences such as the Red Summer of 1919 and the Tulsa Massacre of 1921, in which the FBI did not even put a quarter of the effort that they put into targeting Marcus Garvey, which resulted in those people that were attacked in that atrocity not receiving federal acknowledgement until 2021. They're still seeking justice. Moving to our next topic, the domestic spying and killing of Fred Hampton. Fred Hampton was an American civil rights leader and the chairman of the Black Panther Party of Illinois chapter, who also formed the city's first Rainbow Coalition to uplift all marginalized groups. J. Edgar Hoover, the leader of the FBI, reaction to the soaring prominence of Chairman Fred Hampton was, and I quote, "The Black Panthers are the single greatest threat to the national security. Our counterintelligence program must prevent the rise of a Black Messiah." The FBI and Chicago PD used undercover cops and placed informants to sabotage, discredit, and ultimately kill Chairman Hampton and his movement. On December 3rd, 1969, Chairman Hampton's home was raided by the Chicago PD, and he, along with his fellow Panther, was killed in the home. It was riddled with over 99 shots made by the police and only one in return from the Black Panthers. The FBI's 2020 domestic terrorism reference for pro-Black groups. A leaked FBI document in 2017 exposed that the organization believed that Black identity extremists were one of the greatest threats to national security. The FBI identified the extremists as Black people who perceived racism and injustice to American society as wrong and were vocal about it. The document also showed the Bureau has a program called Iron Fist to target, spy, surveil, and investigate Black activists including through undercover agents. The FBI's 2020 Domestic Terrorism Reference Guide groups black organizations with and equal to white supremacist organizations, even though most of the domestic terrorist attacks in 2020 and throughout the last several decades came at the hands of white supremacist organizations. Today, we have looked at the United States government's unbroken view of pro-black African American movement as a threat to national security. We first saw in the targeting of Marcus Garvey in 1919, the spying and killing of Fred Hampton in 1969, and finally, the FBI's 2020 domestic terrorism reference to pro-black groups. And in conclusion, I want to ask you this. And I don't want you to only feel the need to answer it yourself, but to also ask the questions to your friends, family, loved ones, and even those in power. Is it right? Is it just or even acceptable to punch down on a group of people who only want to stand up and hold their heads at the same level as everyone else? Thank you. My name is Adil Kunle Osaga. That concludes my speech.